any person. I'm a human with feelings that has a lot of hardships, that although I've had a lot of opportunities that maybe other people have not, we all still deal with emotions the same way. And if they can feel the light that I'm trying to shine in their world, then that'll make me happy. That'll make it bring a smile to my face.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Ioke'ehu, and this is Hawaii. Today I have with me the fantastic Kau'i Dalire. She is former Miss Aloha Hula, and she is a Kumu Hula. And now, over this pandemic, she's just told me she's finished typing up her book. She's a new author of The Radiant One. Kau'i, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, aloha, Iwane. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And you were just telling me that, because I was telling her, hey, watch out for the boom arm if you're talking with your hands and everything, because, you know, she's hula instructor and everything. She's telling me she doesn't talk with her hands. I'm like,
I don't talk with my hands. They stay down here holding on to my legs.
That's super interesting, because like hula, you're communicating with your hands.
Maybe I'd do a better job communicating if I did use my hands.
Oh, there you go.
We'll see.
So your book is released.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hardcover, softcover, and ebook.
Yes.
The Radiant One. Okay, and that's just a book and story of your life, basically, right?
Yes. So my Hawaiian name is Hughes-kaluhiokalani, and that means the Radiant One of the Wide Heavens. That's the title.
That's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
It's like, what does Iwane mean? It means John.
In both Hawaiian and Greek?
And Greek, yeah. I'm not jealous. But Ke'ehu, the red hair, John the redhead.
How appropriate.
Super interesting, right? Yeah. I digress. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask you and bring you on the show is, like, you're an entrepreneur. You have your website, ikumuhula.com.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you're sharing hula around the world with people, and not just like hula classes where they're like people are dancing. It's not just Zumba or a workout class. You're actually sharing the cultural aspects of it, but you're doing it remotely as much as possible. And you're saying you're like the only one who started doing this?
Yes. So back in 2013, my friend and I, Mailani, we came up with this idea to create an online hula school. And for me, I was like, that's not good, because, you know, in Halau, we never used video cameras or recording devices. Everything was written with pen and paper and repetition. You know, we just did it over and over and over. And so I was like, I don't know if people are going to accept that. That's, you know, out of the box. So it took about a good 3 years before I finally said, okay, let's do it. And the first thing I did was seek the approval of a lot of those kumu who are before me. And I've had them come onto my website to do interviews so that they can talk about hula and what is hula and, you know, olelo no eo and stuff like that. Just some of their knowledge. I felt it was important for them to share their knowledge of hula as well. And it also brought credibility to what I was about to do. And so after all of that, I launched online and did my first classes. And it was a lot of trial and tribulation kind of a thing because the internet at times was sketchy. The time difference around the world, it was difficult to have all the students there at the same time because, you know, 2:00 in the morning or in the afternoon here was like 2 a.m. somewhere else. And so there was the time difference that was a lot of trouble. And so there was a lot of tweaking that I needed to do along the way, but it grew into something really good. And now that the pandemic hit, it's been even better. But yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting ride.
So you're totally prepared for the pandemic, professionally wise.
I guess I was.
That's interesting.
But I still prefer what I was doing. So basically from the website, I've had students online with me for like 2 to 3 years, and then I approached them to possibly host me in the area that they lived, whether it was Japan or Michigan or North Carolina, for them to host a workshop with me and fly me in. And so I would go, jump on the airplane, fly across the continent to, let's just say, Michigan, and hold a hula workshop over the weekend. And it's amazing how many people love hula. Super amazing. There were hundreds of people there in Michigan for my workshop. And from that point on, my student then became an instructor, and they run the branch for me in that location. So right now I have about 21 locations that are actively running, and I have 3 more that's in training. But I miss flying all over the world and being able to spend time with all these wonderful people, you know.
Yeah, well, so was there any kickback, pushback for you training and teaching, you know, what is, for a better word, haoles in the mainland who aren't connected to Hawaii at all?
Yeah, no, I didn't get much of a kickback because, you know, everything I do is authentic. It's true to our culture, and they all know, all the students online, they know that this isn't it. They can't just learn from me online. There's another part to it, and that's where the traveling comes in. They have to come to do a live workshop with me somewhere in their area. And so that's why it's great that I have different locations so that people don't have to travel so far. But yeah, I mean, being in halau or being at a live workshop, online classes can't replace that. Like you can't feel what you feel in person than you do online, you know? So it's kind of a 2-part thing. It has to work hand in hand. Otherwise, it's just movement that you're learning. Yeah, it's not really hula. So
you're saying you have these locations around the country, around the world?
Yeah.
How many locations you got?
I have 21 locations. I have 5 in Japan. I'm also in Australia, New Zealand, Mexico, and then all across of the United States. I have Michigan, North Carolina, Virginia, Alabama. Loved Alabama. I can't wait to go back there as well. Las Vegas, California. And so I'm spreading all over the place.
People think Alabama, you think like redneck, hick country kind of thing. It's not.
I think football.
Football? Is it in Birmingham or somewhere? Mobile? Mobile?
Yeah.
Mobile, Birmingham, they're very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like if you haven't been to Alabama and you have a preconceived notion of what Alabama's like, try Birmingham, try Mobile. It'll change your mind on what the South is like.
But I won't eat alligator ever again.
It just tastes like chicken.
It was chewy.
Chewy chicken. But they have so much other good food. See, that's the other thing with the South. They know how to cook.
Yeah.
So
I'll stick to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to Alabama a couple of times for training through work. And yeah, just got to see, you know, it was only in Birmingham, but it's beautiful. It's clean. It's very woodsy, forestry kind of thing. So, I mean, it was not what I was expecting to see at all. And everybody was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really exciting. Oh, my gosh.
I digress talking about the South now. So, yeah, that's fascinating. I love bringing on entrepreneurs to the show because, you know, I myself, I like to think of myself as an entrepreneur. I like to do new things and stuff like that. And I think that's one aspect of your background that I didn't really realize. I can't really see that you have all these locations that have been kind of franchised, right?
Yeah, I mean, like my 2 sisters who are also Kumu Hula, and they have halau here in Hawaii. They focus a lot on competition, and of the 3 sisters, I'm the one that has not participated as much in competitions, and that's because I've been traveling all over the world, and I don't have that time to commit to training dancers to enter competition. You know, I prefer having the opportunity to fly all over the world, share our culture, our language, our Hawaiian values with everyone. And someday I'll prepare for a competition. But for now, I like building this empire.
Empire building empress. And one of the things we were talking about off camera is that you're doing this in the quote unquote correct way as much as you can from the bottom of your heart. Because if you don't, somebody else will. And somebody else will do it. They'll do it wrong. So you're going to try to do it correctly.
I think that was my hesitation. I think that was my hesitation at first because I was afraid of what my peers would think. But when I looked on the other side of it, if someone like me was not teaching, all these people who love this thing called hula would be learning from YouTube or some hot hula instructor and think that they're doing hula. And then they're going to be diluting our culture even more because all these millions of people who are dancing what they think is hula and it's not, it's going to be like horrible. So I figured at least if I'm teaching the right thing, they'll have an authentic hula experience,
And I think I just saw a quote by Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist. And it's one of his, I might flub the actual wording of it, but the gist of it is if I'm good at doing something and I'm better at it than a lot of people, and it is for the betterment of humankind, it would be irresponsible for me not to do it and not to share it.
Yeah, I agree. That's an awesome quote.
Yeah. I mean, he blows my mind in a whole slew of things, and he's like, yeah, he's a good guy. So with that, what mark do you want to leave on the world? I mean, you're already doing it, but is there like a stake in the ground, like this is what I want people to remember me by?
Well, I think for me, a lot of people love Hawaii and they love the hula, and most of them don't really know why. They say it's this Aloha Spirit. It's this love, this feeling of belonging. And a lot of people can't make it to Hawaii. They dream of paradise, actually. And by me sharing hula and aloha around the world, it's almost like giving them a piece of paradise to help make their lives a little bit easier or be a little more peaceful in the moment that they're in. Because, we are driven by stress. Everybody has to make things work, and this time has been super crazy, and it's been hard for a lot of people. And hula is that thing that kind of just brightens them up. It makes them feel beautiful. It makes them feel confident. And if I can leave someone with that feeling, then, I've done my job. If I can just uplift one person out there, then I can feel good about doing that, So through hula, I'm hoping to uplift whoever I can out there that's willing to accept my teachings.
Yeah, because you're teaching people to do these moves and the whole cultural aspect of it. And yeah, like you said, they're going to find happiness doing it. Yeah. Like, because there is a happiness to hula. Like, that's why so many people do it.
Definitely, yeah.
And yeah, it'd be irresponsible of us as Native Hawaiians to not share with the world the awesomeness that is Hawaii.
Yes.
So thank you for doing that. Are you afraid of anything? Are you afraid of failing?
I'm not afraid of frailing. I'm not afraid of frailing. No, I'm not afraid of failing. If you don't fail, you won't go anywhere. I mean, for me, I learn from my failure, and the only way I can learn is to fail. If everything is just so easy and you're just doing it right all the time, then life would be super boring, and I wouldn't be me. I think struggle is good, and I look at success as doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whoever I want to do it with, and I'm lucky because through hula, I've been able to support my family and enjoy what I'm doing. When I fly off to go on trips to do workshops, it's not about just work. I fly with my best friend, and she's a singer, Mailani, and we hold workshops, we do concerts, and we also have a really good time. We'll go to Disneyland or Universal Studio, or we'll go whitewater rafting and visit some pubs or bars around the cities, and so it's really fun. So I'm super lucky that I'm able to do the things that I love to do and be successful at it.
It's like your work is not really work. Sounds like a vacation to me.
Yeah, actually.
But that's a good point of success, right? It's like, you've been successful when you don't think of your work as work, and it's fun to do.
Yeah. I mean, who enjoys being at a job that they hate waking up and going to? I mean, gosh, that must be torture. But once upon a time I did. I was starting all over, and I had three jobs. I had to work 3 jobs to support my 5 children. And I was like a zombie walking through life. I would wake up early, go to my day job, which was a teacher at a school. And then after that, I had halal. And so that was another portion of the evening. And then I was a consultant for another school. And that took me like to midnight. And that was like horrible. I did not enjoy life at all. So finally quitting and just investing 100% into what I'm good at, which was hula, that allowed me to live the life that I wanted to live.
So your book, you're talking about, one of your main focuses is you're back towards the future, and you're looking towards the past, towards your ancestors. And is it to make sure that they're proud of you, and so you're doing things in honor of them?
I think it's more for guidance and wisdom. I'm pretty sure it's an olelo no'el, but I can't think of it right now in Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
But the Hawaiian saying goes to plant yourself firmly in the present with your back to the future and your eyes fixed upon the past, for you to gain wisdom, knowledge, answers. And that's what I was searching for. Answers, because I was in this dark place. I had just recently lost my son, and I was grieving and trying to deal with things. And hula was healing, definitely. I kept teaching hula. I kept flying. I kept working hard. I was working extra hard to probably block out all of the pain that I was feeling. And so writing the book was my attempt to help myself to heal, to look back at my life and be proud of a lot of the moments that I've experienced. I've been blessed with many opportunities to travel the world, to meet amazing people, to just experience life at a high level. And so I'm very grateful for all the things that I have been given, and for the many more things that I want to do. And I'm going to keep in mind that with everything that I do, it's to honor both my mom and Kumu hula, and also my son. And so that's just kind of how it all came about.
And that transitioned you into wanting to write the book?
Yeah, I felt like if I could write what I was feeling down on paper, that it would be healing for me. And then I thought, there's a lot of people out there that are probably struggling and may have gone through similar experiences that I have gone through. And I was hoping that my story would uplift them or inspire them or just help comfort them, So, yeah.
Because your story starts like with you as a child and following your mother.
Yes. So hula, the book, The Radiant One, is really about the love of hula and how hula is healing and how hula has been my best friend my entire life. It's been there for me every time I needed it. It's a great escape. It connects me to my ancestors, and it helps build my confidence because it's something that I'm good at, And so the book starts at the beginning, and how I feel as a daughter of a kumu hula, and the expectations, and her always wanting us to be excellent in all that we do. So there was a lot of pressure in the way we were raised, but I'm super grateful because she, my mom, through hula, prepared me for all the hardships in life,
So what's the end goal of the book for your readers? What do you want them to impart from the book?
That I'm just like any other person. I'm a human with feelings that has a lot of hardships, that although I've had a lot of opportunities that maybe other people have not, we all still deal with emotions the same way. And if they can feel the light that I'm trying to shine in their world, then that'll make me happy. That'll make bring a smile to my face.
That's beautiful. Beautifully said. And I know maybe this is premature, but any other books in the works now that you've done one?
Not at this time, but we were just joking about it because on one of my Zoom classes, I was focusing on the students and their dancing, and the camera, I forgot to change or pin it to them dancing instead of just me. So for the first 10 minutes, it's all my face watching them dance. And so one of the students made a comment on Facebook on our private page, oh, I wonder what Kumu is thinking about all of us dancing. Look at her facial expressions in the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be my new book. What does Kumu see when I watch you dance?
That's funny. Is the book, who's the target audience for the book? Is it necessarily just hula dancers, or people trying to get into hula, or just anybody in general?
Well, I think the major market is the hula people, and that's a huge market. Hula is all over the world, so that was my main focus. But it's also for mothers, because within the book, I struggle with being a single mom and trying to provide for my 5 kids and having to be away a lot, and luckily for me, I have a great family support system that helped me watch the kids while I was on the road, and now they're old enough to take care of themselves, so it's easier for me to travel. But it's for moms that they just struggle with, am I a bad mom because I'm not home, or am I doing what I can so that my kids have the best life that, they deserve? So it's also for moms. And then I think for anyone who has experienced grief, it's been hard for me to even reread the last couple chapters when my son was battling cancer. Just even talking about it, I can, I got to start to pinch my legs so that I don't start to tear up. But, grief is a hard thing. And especially now with COVID and being home and pause. I mean, our life is on pause in a sense. You can't help but reflect on your life and reflect on all of your decisions that you've made. And you wonder, did I make the right decision? Did I not? Am I at the right place right now? So I think especially during this time, dealing with grief and depression is major. And I hope maybe if they read my book, maybe it'll uplift them a little bit, help them to know that they're not the only one out there that's suffering.
Is there anything else you want to touch on the book?
Nah, they can read it. Okay. Please read my book.
So in Hawaiian culture, mostly ancient Hawaiian, but there's this sense of omakua, the spirit animal. Native Americans kind of have a different aspect of it also. But do you subscribe to that? Do you have an animal, spirit animal that relates to you?
Definitely. Most omakua are passed down, through the generations, through the different families and your connections. So from my mom's side is certain omakua. From my dad's side, there's certain omakua. Luckily for me, I was chosen by a particular omakua, which then is my favorite one because it exemplifies me in a sense. So that's the shark, the mano. And, it's fierce and it's aggressive, but it's also a protector. I think us humans have to remember that the ocean is their home and we are the guest. But when I say I was chosen, when I was 18 years old, I had the opportunity to travel to the island of Ni'ihau. And that's where I did my Merry Monarch training. And the first time we left the island, there were a line of sharks led by a turtle. And the amount of sharks that was in that line was the same amount of people that was on this trip. And so it was like a ho'ailona, or a sign that we were all going to get home safely. The second time when I returned back to the island of Ni'ihau to give my thanks, because I had just won Miss Aloha Hula. And so, to go full circle, you go back and you say thank you. We actually went to the landing area. It's called Ke'e. And we went in the water where the sharks were. And that was such a surreal experience, just being in the same water while they're there. But to make my story even better, I did also do, not once, but twice, the shark tours in North Shore, both without the cage. We swam with the sharks. And it's such an empowering feeling. I got to tell you, I was scared at first. I was very, very scared. One of my friends was so scared she was actually crying. But, you get in there and it's so humbling. It's like, that this is their place and you better have that respect for them. And so I really like the shark. It's gotten a bad rap because of Jaws, but I believe my omakua are the sharks and they protect me.
When you were in the water with the sharks, were you comfortable? Or I know you said you were scared, but were you scared before getting in the water? And then after getting in the water, how did your emotion change?
So I was scared when I was on the boat. Mm-hmm. I was scared when I first got into the water. And then maybe after a few minutes, I started to, just be open with what I was feeling. And it was interesting because the feeling of, being scared kind of was just floating away with the movement of the ocean. And in the end, I felt like I was home. I wasn't scared anymore. It was just enjoying and being grateful to be in this place of mana, with these sharks. So yeah, towards the end, I wasn't scared anymore.
But then you were telling me off camera you don't eat raw fish.
I don't eat raw fish. I don't eat raw fish, and I don't like the water very much. I'm a land creature, but it's something that I was encouraged to go and do, and so I did. I'm an adventurous type, even though it's mind-boggling. Sometimes I don't know why I do the things I do. But afterwards, I'm happy.
Yeah, because I'm not going to get in the water with sharks. I'm sorry. I've seen too many videos and know that, hey, they can take a little nip at you. And no. So I'm kind of scared of sharks. So props to you for that.
Thank you.
And the reason I asked you that is, I like to digress into omakua. I believe mine to be the hawk. And my nickname is Io, the Hawaiian hawk.
Right.
And so I've found that through my life, I'm most comfortable when I'm in the air looking down on the world, whether it's flying or, we were hanging off this cliff thing one time for this kind of self-help kind of thing. And I was just so comfortable hanging off the cliff or even rock climbing, that kind of thing. I'm so comfortable doing that.
Are you a skydiver?
Not yet, but only because I don't trust the landing.
Are you scared to do it?
I think my only fear with skydiving, especially locally, is that too many people have died doing it. So it's like, that ain't safe. Because we go camping out Mokuli'ia, right by the airfield. And, was it last year, 2 years ago, the airplane crashed, killing everybody aboard? It's like, dude, that's why we don't go skydiving over there. I don't trust the mechanics. I don't trust And we've actually been camping when a parachutist had a failure.
Oh, no.
And they had to cut away their parachute and deploy the reserve. And so you actually saw the cutaway chute spiraling down. Don't mean to scare anybody from doing skydiving, but we were at the beach watching this happen, and you see this this big, huge, parachute comes circling down into the water.
Crazy.
And then they call like HFD and the ambulance and everything because people thought that, the skydiver
went with that
chute. Yeah,
chute.
went with that chute. But you could see them like cut away from it and fall a little bit and deploy the reserve. I was like, oh, see, look, right there. That's why we're not doing skydiving.
Well, like I said, I'm a land creature. So ocean and air are not land.
But, there is that whole spiritual aspect to it also where, seeing things from a different point of view, seeing things just as a protector, watching out over the land kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Hawaiians out there, not just Hawaiians, but anybody out there, look for your spirit animal, your omakua in Hawaiian, and Native Americans have their spirit animal too.
Like Brother Bear.
Brother Bear.
My kids used to love to watch that movie.
It's a classic, especially when he's trying to talk.
How?
Slow motion. Oh, we've gone way off topic.
Yes,
on this one. So besides, that kind of takes up your whole day, right? You got Kumu Hula, and you've got these franchises all over, and you've got your book. What else have you got going?
I'm also the vice president of the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts, HARA, the people who put on the Nahoku Hano Hano Awards.
Most impressive. Did not know that. Go ahead, share.
My son is also a musician. He recently released his debut solo album called Chasing Legacy. And so I help him with his music career as well. And
give a shout out for your son's name.
Kupu Dalire Na'awau.
Nice.
And so, I do a lot of things. I help out a lot of people. I'm also with the Make Music Hawaii group, and we put on Make Music Day June 21st and then also December 21st. And then I'm a mother of 5, so...
So you don't have much time for Netflix.
I Netflix a lot at night.
You do?
I binge watch, I'll set days aside to just Netflix out.
Good.
Or I'll go to the Pacific Club and just hang out at the pool and play some pickleball and then have some prime rib for dinner. So, I'm lucky because I make my own schedule. I'm very good with time management. I know how to do what I got to do when I got to do it. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're being like a role model to a lot of people in Hawaii and around the world with sharing your business, your hula, your book, your story. Is there any historical figure or is there anyone that you take inspiration from history?
I have many, actually. If you're talking about maybe like social media and branding, Kahekili comes to mind. He was a fierce and brandable person. If you talk about being fearless and bold, I will think about Ka'ahumanu. And if I want to be sophisticated, classy, and just generous, I think of Queen Liliuokalani. But I think my most inspirational historical figure would be Hi'iaka Ikapoliopele. She was a chanter, she was a dancer, she was a surfer, she was a healer. But what I liked most about her is her loyalty to her sister. And it really played on that value of the reciprocal relationships between the older sibling and the younger sibling. So it's the younger sibling's kuleana or job to serve and take care of the older sibling, and in return, the older sibling will care and protect the younger sibling. And that's how the term of Aloha Aina came about, because, the land is our older sibling, and we as Kanaka are the younger sibling. So we are supposed to take care of the land, and the land will in return take care of us. And so I really love that about Hi'iaka, because in her journey, her adventure from Hawaii Island to Kauai to fetch Lohiau and return him to Pele, everything that she went through, all of her, the challenges and obstacles that she faced in that journey, it showed a lot of values that we hold dear to our heart, and which is why we perpetuate it today in, the love for the land, the importance of ohana, just all of that. So she's my girl. She's mana wahine in its, entirety. So, yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah, I didn't know that the Aloha Aina stems from that in particular, but it does make sense.
Yeah. So it goes back to the story of Hallowa and Halawanaka. So the older brother was planted, and from there, the taro plant grew. And then the next brother, Hallowa, he became chief of the land. And so as long as he was to take care of his older brother, which was the kalo, the land in return would be prosperous. It would feed the lahui. And so, that's that reciprocal relationship. You take care of the land going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it has to be like that throughout the world. It's not just a Hawaii thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more and more people are coming more in tune with that around the world. Do you impart that kind of stuff on your students that are on the mainland?
Definitely. And all of the Hawaiian values and protocols that we go through in hula, I will explain to them stuff like au kai, when we go to the ocean to cleanse. Some people call it hi'uvai. Even though they're far away, I give them the same concept. Like when things are just so kapulu, things are all over the place, and you just need to find your center again. Go to the ocean, wherever it is. If it's too cold, then too bad. Mind over matter. No. But, it's just to go to the ocean and rinse and cleanse. And so I try to teach them that in whatever area they're in. But once a year, they fly home to Hawaii to a retreat in which we go over all of that kind of stuff as well. So they learn a lot about our values and traditions in here, because they have to come here in order to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine people come to you a lot with hula questions and hula, stories, or I guess mostly questions. But are they coming to you now for business and entrepreneurial type questions?
Yes. So as you know, I have this, what you label a franchise,
mm-hmm.
which is what I call my branches all over the world. And so my instructors, besides learning hula, they also learn business and how to market in their area and use cross-marketing with me back here in Hawaii, because then I'm like the product that they're selling, right? So we do a lot of business courses, and then I'm also very heavy into wellness and, health, well-being. So
no French fries?
We do a check-in every week.
Okay.
I still eat French fries. But, we just try to make healthy choices, both for our body and for our environment, our homes, and then to take care of our land as well. Yeah.
Is there anything in your opinion in Hawaii, and I didn't know this about you until you came over here and you were telling me about it, but you actually tried to run for public office?
Yes. So your question was if I was what I'm dissatisfied with here in Hawaii. Well, I'm dissatisfied with a lot of things, and I want things to be better for our people, our communities. And so I thought, hey, if I'm going to grumble, I might as well try and do something about it. So I ran, like way back in the 90s, I ran for, maybe it was in the 90s, early 2000s, I ran for OHA. And then just maybe a couple of years ago, I ran for the House district of Kaneohe. And it's like a total different world. Like, I don't even want to be a part of it.
The political spectrum.
Yes. It's like, it was weird. Like, it was not something I wanted to be a part of. And I don't think I'd be happy being in a position like that and that being my job. I prefer the job I have now. So yeah, at least I can say I tried. I wanted to make a difference, but yeah, not for me.
What was your motivation to do that?
Well, it's just our economy here in Hawaii is fully based on tourism and military, and two things that don't really help our land. You know, there's no aloha aina there. And I really don't like the fact that what draws the tourists to Hawaii is Hawaii and Hawaiian culture. And that we as Kumu Hula, as practitioners of the culture, and even our musicians, we are treated like everything that we do is supposed to be for free or for little or no money, you know? So when we go to Waikiki and we perform, we get paid pennies when it's us that all these people are coming to see. You know, they want to experience the traditional culture of Hawaii, yet, you know, they don't compensate us how they should. And so I wanted to make a change with that, because I know that tourists come to Hawaii for the authentic experience, you know? So yeah, the list just goes on, and it's not something I like to talk about anyway. So,
but it's really interesting that you mentioned tourism and bringing tourists here as part of our economy. When you've done a business that kind of turns that whole thing on its head, we're bringing Hawaii to them instead of them coming here.
Yeah, I think for me it's easier to go to them, but at some point, like I said, annually they come back to me, because this is where they need to learn and experience everything. But I also enjoy the fact that I get to travel and see the world. So,
what is your go-to food of choice?
I'm a meat eater. I love me some steak and prime rib.
Yay.
Yeah.
Medium rare or less?
No. Medium well.
Medium well?
It can't be mooing at me.
Oh, see, I'm like, no, just like wave the steak above the fire a little bit.
Oh, man.
Throw it on my plate.
I think it's just the sight of the blood that kind of turns me off on that.
Oh,
like,
so I shouldn't share my New York deli story then.
Go for it.
Go for it. Okay. So I went to New York, Manhattan on a trip, and we went to one of those famous Jewish delis, and I wanted to get the pastrami sandwich, and they load these sandwiches. I mean, the thing is like 3 or 4 inches thick with just sliced meat. So I get the sandwich, go to the table, and I'm with my buddy, and I take a bite into this sandwich, and you know, you can feel kind of the fluid around your mouth and everything, because it's like a huge bite, right? It's like a big hamburger, except this is nice red meat you're biting into. And am I explaining it well enough, everybody? But anyways, felt the fluid on my mouth, so I take my napkin, wipe my face, and it's like blood.
Oh, gosh.
It was just like red on the napkin. I was like, oh my God. Another bite.
Oh, I would have threw up right there.
But it didn't taste bloody. That was the thing. Like it had a lot of flavor to it.
My favorite steakhouse in New York is Gallagher's. I went there for the first time, and we had this like full seafood platter thing for a poo-poo. But it filled me up so much. And when my steak came, oh, it looked so good, but I could only eat like half of it. But it was so good. Like, oh my gosh. And it wasn't dry or hard or anything. And it wasn't red. So it was like perfect. That was my favorite steakhouse.
I've started salting my steak like a day or two before. You get the steak, you put salt on both sides. Garlic salt works also. And you just let it sit. You put it back in the fridge and you let it sit for a day or two. And it like seals in all the juices. And so when you cook it, you get like a nice light brown layer and then a nice juicy red layer in the middle.
Cool.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
And it's easy to do. Just throw salt on it.
Yeah.
So you're saying, and to go back on the music industry, you're not just hula dancing, but you're also really involved in the music industry. You want to touch more a bit about that before we close?
Okay. Well, I don't know how I want to talk about it.
Well, you know everybody in Hawaiian music industry, right?
Well, that was more from my mom because a lot of the musicians perform with the halau. And so, all of those music types were my mom's good friends. And so I've been around them my entire life. And now that myself and both my sisters, we all have halau, we need musicians, and they're all right there. And I used to be a record producer along with my ex-husband. And we did a lot of great music back in the 90s, and now not so much in the producing, like engineering it, but I have helped other artists such as Mailani, Josh Tofi, the group Whoever, kind of a lot of them. And I feel like I can still serve the music community by being a board of governor for the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts. So I mean, I love music. Music and hula are like symbiotic. They go hand in hand. So, yeah, I like to be in both worlds.
And ladies and gentlemen, I got her to talk with her hands.
Yeah.
So before you were saying you don't talk with your hands, and here she is.
Maybe that's why I'm so uptight that's why I was so uptight before, because I was always holding on to something and not using my hands. So maybe I relaxed more by wiggling them around for you.
Any last parting words? What would you like youthful Native Hawaiians or hula dancers to know?
I think anyone who is interested in hula or loves hula and wants to dance hula, just do it. The Olelo No'eau says, "A'ai ka hula vaiho ka hila hila makahale." If you want to dance hula, just do it. Like, leave the shyness at home, because once you get over that hump, what you feel inside is going to be amazing. And hula is healing. Hula is life. And don't wait. Start as soon as you can, and just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. But I do want to thank you for having me be a part of your program here. And it's been super fun. This is the first podcast I've ever done. So thank you. It's been exciting.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Kau'i. You got me to do a Brother Bear impression.
Yes, so. You better keep that on there.
All right, everybody at home, this is Kau'i Dalire.
Thank you. Aloha, everybody.
Aloha, and stay happy, Hawaii.